Hiya folks and welcome to this week's edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast that is made by fans for fans, where the content is free. If you've listened to the pod before, we would encourage you to subscribe if you haven't already. And we would also ask you to put the word out there on social media, and get the word out there that we're here. The podcast is live at the moment. We're live on YouTube, and you can comment in the comment sections of YouTube. It's interactive. But after we're live tonight, the pod is available to stream or download on a number of platforms, including Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, Stitcher, and Spotify. So we'll get straight into a very, very dramatic day today at Rugby Park. Last minute winner for Rangers, 3 points after it looked like we'd sort of snatched a draw from the jaws of victory. We managed to get that last minute goal. So we'll get right into that. We'll have a look at the Kilmarnock game today. We'll also have a wee look at the Progress game on Thursday there. A wee sneak preview to the Hibs game next week, and plus a couple of wee sort of things that happened through the week, like the fabricated bid for Alfredo Morelos and a potential move for Glenn Middleton to Hibs apparently. So we'll have a wee discussion about that. So we'll get right in about it, and I'll get on to our guest introductions. Joining us this week, we've got John McCallum. How are you, John? I'm
well, Colin. Thanks. Yourself?
Not bad. Bit of a frustrating day today. I'll go into it a wee bit later on with, my Sky going down, so I missed a big chunk of the game. But I suppose the result is all that matters. Yourself, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I spent yesterday in the garden in the sunshine, doing the garden, listening to the Ashes. Last night I had a delicacy, which most of you will probably never heard of before, a thing called a guga, which is a gannet. A guga.
Okay.
A gannet. I had that for dinner last night, which was great. And then today I got to watch football. So, yeah, it's been a pretty good weekend.
You also spent yesterday trolling me on social media about my junior football team that I go and watch with, did you not?
I made a genuine inquiry. A junior football team that seems to be based 500 miles from the coast has a picture of a boat in its badge. And you
yes.
took some sort of offence in that?
No. I never took offence to that. I responded to said inquiry and informed you that, the ground's right next to the canal, and it's obviously, in years gone past, it was a busy canal with trade and all that kind of thing. And you made a slanderous comment about, should it be, was it a supermarket trolley?
Supermarket trolley I felt was more appropriate as an emblem rather than the Viking longboat. Just as another genuine inquiry, how do you actually pronounce that team?
Camelin.
So it's not Camelin.
Not Camelon, no.
I've pronounced it Camelin my entire life.
Well, you do get different pronunciations, but the locals refer to it as Camelin, or Camelin. But aye. So they've got the young boy. I can't remember his name. I meant to look it up today. They've got the young boy in goals.
They're Rangers players, haven't they?
Aye, they took him on loan. He's having a bad way, to be honest with you. He conceded 7 last week, and he let one in yesterday that was an absolute howler. So he's had a rough start to his Camelin career, but I'm sure he'll come good.
He's probably put off by that badge.
Aye, probably.
Why the hell is that picture of a boat in this badge?
Well, trust me, at the back of the stand, there's a lot of boats moored up at the side of the canal. But there we are. And also joining us tonight, we have a debutant to the Gersnet Podcast. It's David Wren. How are you, David?
Hi, Colin. How you doing?
Very well. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm okay. I thought just after months and months of you begging me to come on, I thought it was time to...
I didn't beg. I just went down on one knee and proposed. No, but it's good that you finally come on. And are we allowed to reveal what team you support?
Well, it's kind of obvious now, isn't it?
Aye. So is that what it feels like? Does it feel like you're coming out now?
Well, no, I'm not.
Is this all because it's Pride weekend? Is that why we've been doing it?
No, I thought I would try and get one over Scott Brown. You know what I mean? Because he seems pretty keen on that whole thing, didn't he? All of a sudden. So, no, it's just I know David reported on another Premier League club in a previous career, so I think he had to keep his Rangers allegiances quiet. So I think it is a bit of a public announcement. But it's good that you're here, David. I trust you watched the game today.
I was there. I was actually.
Were you there?
So,
You weren't one of the boys on the pitch, were you, at the end there?
No, I was in the hospitality.
Hospitality? Oh, check you.
That's how I roll. But no, it was very. I felt like you could see the Killie goal coming, and I think it was very much like the majority of games. I don't know. I'd have to double check, but I believe that's the first time we've won at Rugby Park in the league since we've been promoted. I think.
I was actually thinking about that stuff today. I was actually at one point I thought, is this the first time we've won our opening game since we've returned? But we actually won a game at Motherwell a couple of seasons back. But it's only the second time since we returned to the top flight that we've won our opening game. And yeah, I think we have. I mean, we won the League Cup game there last season, 3-1, or was it 4-1? Or it should have been 4-1. Emery else had a goal that. But I think you're right. I think in the league we really have struggled against Killie since we came back up. So it was good to get it today.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get right on into it. I'll come to you first, John. I put out what I thought the team was going to be today. I had the same team that started, but I put in Kamara ahead of Aribo. I thought he would maybe go with tried and tested, but he's went with Aribo today. What did you make of? Did you think it was a predictable starting 11? That was pretty much the team that was always going to start.
I wasn't too sure Barisic would start. I have a memory that he didn't always play on the artificial pitches last season, but he didn't get to play in too many of the grass ones either. So that would just be my memory playing tricks with me. So I was surprised that he started, and I actually thought he'd start with Defoe. I thought Defoe looked like first choice up front in the pre-season games. So I thought he might start with Defoe as well. But other than that, yeah, it was largely the side that I think was going to play. I wasn't sure whether Stewart or Jones might get a game just with their past and knowing the ground and knowing the pitch.
Yeah.
But, no big surprises.
No, I mean I would agree with that. I think we're all sort of the opinion, especially Arfield looks a better player since he's moved that one up. I think the midfield three, it's going to be tricky, for a lot of players to get a starting place this year, because I think the likes of Davis is always going to start. I went with Kamara today because I thought I was looking at the game in January when we brought in Defoe and we brought in Stephen Davis straight away, and it didn't quite work. So I thought he would maybe leave Aribo out today and go with the tried and tested, but he started him today. And I think, Aribo will start most games. So, yeah, I agree. There was nothing much. Obviously, Wes had to come in because McGregor was suspended. So, yeah, I kind of agree. It was a predictable starting 11. David, the overall performance, I have to, before we came on air, I was discussing the fact that my Sky conked out today, so I missed a huge chunk of the game. There was a thunderstorm out here and my connection just went, so I missed the first goal. It was like 10 minutes in, lost all reception, and it wasn't until like 55, 60 minutes that the reception came back, so I missed a big chunk of the game. But I kind of got a feeling, watching Twitter and stuff like that the overall performance was... We've been seeing a lot of Rangers, a lot of possession without necessarily being able to, create a lot of chances. Is that how you saw it?
Yeah, it was just quite boring. It's just quite a boring performance, and there was no real. Killie probably had the better chances across the whole game. When you think about, I think Brophy missed one from 5 yards, and then he had another wee chance later on, and they just didn't create enough. And it was like the boy Ojo, he was sort of sleeping constantly, letting Greg Taylor get behind him in the first half, and I think he didn't enjoy playing on that surface. And then it was sort of, we got the goal, and then we just never really built on it. And the only time we looked half decent was when they went one each in the last few minutes. We kind of started playing a bit. So yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not worried. I'm not overly worried about the performance, but it was just a bit lackluster, I think.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I missed a big chunk of it, but when I came back in, the thing that struck me was it felt like that Killie goal was coming. You know what I mean? And it just felt like so many games we'd seen last season where we've kind of dominated possession, looked like we were in control. failing to get that second goal, which is always a crucial goal, I think, for Rangers. Once they get that second goal, that's when teams have to open up a wee bit. I think teams that concede the first tend to think, right, well, we'll still sort of just stick to our game plan. It's only when the second goal comes that teams genuinely have to open up, and then that gives us a wee bit more space. And that's just how it felt to me. It just felt like it was slowly but surely, you know, you were getting that feeling that Killie were going to get the equaliser, and it was flat overall. But I suppose we'll come on to it, you know, we had a good outcome in the end, and it was a fantastic goal for Golson. But yeah, I think there's definitely things we need to improve on going forward. But, you know, as I said, we'll take the result. John, is there anyone who you thought had stood out today? Again, going on from what David said there, it felt a kind of flat performance, but was there anyone that stood out for you today?
I think you said something there which I think sums up what a lot of supporters, and I think maybe there's a sense of frustration with a lot of supporters just now, because the Kilmarnock goal did feel predictable. You did feel it was coming. I think after we scored, we tried to contain Kilmarnock. We tried to keep possession. We slowed it down, and I think that was part of our game plan. And it's a bit frustrating to watch, and it's particularly frustrating when it doesn't work out. I actually thought our defence played quite well today defensively. And I know not everybody is agreeing with that, but I actually thought they played quite well defensively. I actually thought Davis had a good game. I thought everything he was asked to do, he kept it neat, he kept it tidy. He didn't excel, but I thought he kept it neat and tidy. I think, actually, looking at the team, your eye is maybe more caught by the people who didn't have a great game.
Yeah.
Mentioned, I think, Ojo, you know, that was his first game. What is he, 19? That kind of age?
Yeah, he's just a young
boy.
boy.
He's young. He's not played many games. I thought I don't know if it was the pace of the game. I don't know if it was Kilmarnock's tactics, but I didn't think he didn't have a wonderful game. And I think the thing that struck me looking at this team was this is last year's team. You know, for all we've made a lot of, or it feels like we've made a lot of signings. That was last year's team that was out there. You know, Kent's been replaced by Ojo, and we've got Aribo in the side. But I don't know, that's last year's team. And that surprised me a little bit, because it felt like we've made quite a few changes. I think I expected it to be a slightly different team, and I think I expected the team to have a different feel to it. And yet that looked like last year's team playing last year's tactics, albeit with a slightly better result at the end of it. And I think that's maybe where some of the frustration is coming in, that maybe we haven't learned. We haven't moved on as much as perhaps we all hoped we would have.
But did it also feel, I mean, I know Kilmarnock, Steve Clarke's moved on, but did it not also feel to you that it was the same with Killie? It was a very similar, it was almost like a Steve Clarke like performance, you know.
Absolutely.
Very well organised. And
sorry, Colin, I'm talking over you there. Other than the goalie, who's a new player that I'd never heard of him before, it was the Kilmarnock team from last season. Playing Kilmarnock tactics, I had kind of thought after that result they had against the Welsh team that Kilmarnock are relegation fodder this season, that it's all going to fall about them. I noticed a piece in the Herald through the week where a journalist, I thought quite surprisingly, basically said, when are Kilmarnock going to fire the manager? You know, he's lost the dressing room already, folk are questioning his tactics, he's had 2 horrible results, which I thought was, you know, considering the guy hadn't even played a league game yet, I thought was a little over the top, but you have to assume that he's hearing things and you know, he's hearing things from people involved with the club. But as in actual fact, Kilmarnock played exactly like Kilmarnock played last season. Sat very deep, didn't give us space, tried to frustrate us, you know, niggly fouls. It was very much, you know, I don't know, maybe without playing stereotypes, maybe an Italian manager is quite defensive. Maybe he does believe in having a strong defence and building from that. But yeah, I was surprised, very, very similar to last season. And I thought Kilmarnock actually would be a different type of team this season, an easier team to beat, but wasn't to be.
David, going back to your comment earlier on, I've got a comment here in one of the YouTube's comment from Stephen Saunders. He's saying that's the first time Rangers have beat Kilmarnock at Rugby Park in 8 years. That seems, I suppose that could be possible given we were down in the lower divisions for so long.
Yeah, it's quite strange because obviously under Steve Clarke, Kilmarnock were excellent, and picked up great results and did really well. But I mean, this stretches back to like Lee Clark, Lee McCulloch. You know, there's been a lot of managers there and maybe haven't been quite as successful. That we've not managed to beat either. So I think it's no surprise that, you know, the pitch is what it is there as well. So I don't know if that's always been an issue for the teams over the years, but it seems to be, and it's quite surprising when you think of, obviously today in the last game of the season were different, but I mean, usually we would have two stands, you know, full of fans there, and so it's quite interesting that we've struggled so much at Rugby Park, but yeah, it's good to get that monkey off our backs, I suppose.
Have you, I mean, given your sort of, you know, close proximity, Kilmarnock, and your previous role, have you heard anything about the new managers? Because there has been a lot of talk that he was already facing the door.
To be honest, I think it was always going to be difficult for whoever went into the place, Steve Clark, because, you know, he's had such a massive impact and he's done a magnificent job there, you know, really probably the best manager they've had since Willie Waddle. I don't know, maybe Tommy Burns as well would go into that bracket for them, but it was always going to be difficult, and it didn't matter who it was, because if they'd gone and got like a Gary Holt, for instance, the fans would have been a bit underwhelmed. So they've gone for, you know, Alessio, and he's suffered a Pedro Caixinha type thing where he's just had an absolutely horrendous result so soon in the season, and I think it's then difficult to come back from that.
Well, we saw that with Pedro, you know what I mean, at Rangers. You know, a result like that can kill a manager's career. So
I think now he's, I mean, I thought they were okay today. I thought Kilmarnock played okay. I thought they were well organised, but as you obviously mentioned earlier, it was more going back to Steve Clark's philosophy almost. Whereas I believe I didn't see any of the games, but speaking to the mates and stuff down in Killie, I think they were a wee bit more expansive and tried to press the game a wee bit more against the Nomads. So yeah, I think he's trying to put his own style on things, but obviously it's more like, well, it's the exact same team as last season that had so much success under Clark. So
sorry, is it the same backroom staff? Is it the same assistant manager as last year?
Alex Dyer's still there. I think there's been a lot of changes to members of the staff. I think Billy Thompson's moved to under-20s coach, I believe, and there's new sports scientists and stuff come in. So, and obviously Massimo Donati's there with him. So yeah, the Alex Dyer's still there, and he's really popular, like among the fans and the players as well. He's a really, really nice guy. So he's still there at the moment. So I don't know if how much of a part he played in today's performance.
Yeah.
John, the first goal, I think it was on the 16th minute. I was cut out at this point. I'd lost my reception at Sky, so I missed the first goal. But obviously, I've seen the replay, and again, it's something we've spoke about before. You know, this sort of new role. He seems to be chipping in with more goals. I mean, it was a tidy finish. It was almost like a striker's finish. Would you agree with that?
It was exactly a striker's finish. It had that instinct. A thing we've not mentioned, and a thing that really pleased me, was 2 goals from set pieces today. It's a thing that's frustrated me for years about Rangers is the amount of set pieces, particularly corners we get that come to nothing. So, you know, Katic was a great header. He got free, found himself a bit of space, beautiful header. Good save, actually, to be fair. But Arfield did well to stick it away. You know, he was in the right place at the right time. That doesn't happen by accident. You know, it's the guy who's looking for space, who's anticipating it. He reacted first, stuck it away. It was a goal that was coming. I think we were on top. We were playing well. We were controlling the match. But I was delighted to score a goal from a corner. Obviously, even more delighted to score the second one. But talking about the first one, you know, without being harsh, it was kind of Arfield's one contribution to the match. He had a quieter game, I thought. He was involved in a few things, but I thought he had a quieter game. But it was a nice goal, nicely stuck away, and delighted to get a goal from a corner.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The set piece thing, it seems to me like we've not had anybody that could take a decent corner since Davy Cooper at times. Honestly, it frustrates the hell out of me. But you're right. I mean, all 3 goals today. I mean, Killie's goal was the same. That was a set piece, and it's maybe showing that just how important set pieces can be, and it's something that we need to improve on. So to get 2 from that today was good. But I think a lot of supporters will also feel frustration that we couldn't create enough in open play, David. And again, it kind of went flat, I think, after we got the goal. Again, this sort of predictable feeling and performance that we've seen before. You know, we get that goal, can't get the second goal, and then we end up just playing a lot of nice football, you know, maintaining possession, but playing a lot in front of teams, you know, not being able to get in behind them.
Yeah, I think second half, like Joe Rebo had been quite quiet, and then second half he sort of came into the game a lot more, and when he came into the game, you could see the quality that he has, and that maybe that quality we need in the final third. But I think Greg Stewart maybe should have started today because he knows that pitch well. Well, so we've realised it this summer, obviously, but he knows the pitch well. He's got that wee bit of magic in the final third, and he's something a wee bit different. And I don't know if maybe in hindsight he would have been a better option, just to provide that wee bit of spark in the final third. But yeah, it's frustrating. But I think as well, you're still, as much as it was majority of the players that played today were all from last season. I think there's still a wee bit of like bedding in the new players that have come in, and there's maybe the squad's just still needing to settle a wee bit. It's possibly just a case of being patient and just hoping that eventually it does come together, especially, you know, in possession for us, because at the moment we're just, as we've mentioned obviously already, there is a lot of side to side, and there's a lot of sort of not doing a great deal. There's not a great deal of penetration in the final third, and that's what Alfredo Morelos, you know, he needs good service, because he just ends up doing what he did today, which was just running about fouling everyone, going to the deck. He just wasn't effective because he wasn't getting that, you know, the ball to feet, so he can then do something with it. That was quite frustrating.
John, David mentioned Morelos there, and I would agree. It certainly had one of his quieter games, but there was an incident sort of midway through the first half, I think, between him and our friend Big Kurt Broadfoot. Now, the thing that got me, I think this is, again, looking at sort of the standard of referee in this country, and Willie Colin certainly has a record of getting these things wrong. I didn't see anything that Morelos done wrong in that incident. It appeared to me to be all sort of Broadfoot. You know, there was about a 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, and then Broadfoot seems to put his arms around him, grapple him, and throw him to the ground. And the two of them get a talking to. Broadfoot doesn't get a booking, and the two of them get a talking to. I saw a lot of comments on Twitter at the time, and I had to agree with them, saying if it had been the other way around, you know, if Morelos had thrown Broadfoot to the ground, there would have been a cry for a red card and all the rest of it by the usual commentators. Is that a good example of how, on certain occasions, you know, Morelos in particular gets refereed to a different standard?
100%, absolutely. I mean, I know exactly the incident you're talking about, and I tell you, let me take the one positive from it was Morelos and his demeanour during it and after it. He didn't react. You know, he went down. He didn't try and kick him back. He didn't do anything of the stuff that perhaps he would have done this time last year. So I was quite pleased with that. But no, I mean, Broadfoot, I know he played for us, and I know you're supposed to say nice things about guys who used to play for you, but wow, he's just an animal. And it was the same last season. He's just there to try and get the opposition players sent off, and he does everything he can. And that in particular, like you say, had that been the other way around, and I don't think there's any doubt he would have been booked, and possibly more, because the crowd would have been up. But as it was, It was just, I'll talk to both of you and move on. And I don't know if you're going to talk about the goal in a minute, but, you know, I wonder if a penalty would have been given had we not scored there. Because, again, if you look at that, he's got his arms around Colin. Yeah,
I did think that.
I don't know who got to that, I don't know. And he was doing that the whole match. You know, he was doing that type of thing the whole match. and he got away with it the whole match. Now, he's a experienced player. He probably knows when the referee's not going to be looking his direction. But that was a perfect example of how Morelos is, as you said, refereed. In my opinion, refereed to a different standard. That was, it was a clear booking, and why it was a speak to both players is beyond me. Because even seeing it again, you initially thought that did Morelos have a wee dig at him before it or something? He didn't. The ball came, the two of them stood for it, they touched, and then the next thing you know, Broadfoot's all over them. Good stuff.
Yeah.
To come, I think.
Well, maybe as an example of what's to come, it just strikes me that if that had been Morelos, now Morelos does bring something on himself, but there is this, I mean, Andy Walker, for example, during the co-commentary at that point, I think he made very, very little of it. It's just the players coming together. Whenever it involves Morelos, that's not the sort of route he goes down. He goes down a very, very different route of why does he need to get involved? Why is he doing this? Calling for him to get a red card or a yellow card or whatever. And it just frustrates me. I'm going to be honest, when you see, as I said, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Morelos is blameless. He's got himself involved in some stupid things at times, but it's that, almost wanting them to do something so they can comment on it and exaggerating when he does do, stupid things. As I said, if it was Morelos that had done that today, I think the reaction would have been very different. David, I'm looking through some of the comments here on our YouTube channel. Barisic's name is coming up, and to be fair, other than Graham, our engineer guy, they're not very positive comments. I thought he had a poor performance today. Now, it seems to me that Gerrard's put a bit of faith in him. I think they've sat down and had a discussion. I think Gerrard has said to him at some point, your performances aren't good enough. I think Barisic has owned up to that and said, right, I'm going to try and improve. But today that was another, I think the best way I could describe it, quite a timid performance. And the quality of his delivery into the box was really, really poor at times.
Mm-hmm. I think he just looks like a player bereft of confidence. And when he first came, you thought, wow, what a player we've got here. And just don't know what's happened to him. I don't know if he just can't adapt to Scottish football or what it is. But I mean, today it was so frustrating. Like, you're watching him, you see the same floaty sort of crosses going straight into the goalie's hands every single time. And he just doesn't want the ball. And it was actually, I turned to my mate today, and sort of start of the second half, and then Gerrard moved Ojo over to the left-hand side, and it was just a weak left-hand side. So weak, and there was nothing happening. Barisic, neither of them wanted the ball. So it was like, and then it kept coming down the left-hand side. So, I mean, there was one point as well, I don't want to single Ojo out too much, because I know he's just young, but he'd been sleeping a few times defensively, and then he got the ball and he's sort of ran towards the defenders, and he's done that thing where he's just sort of kicked it, and he's not kicked it like to cross it, he's not kicked it, he's just sort of kicked it to get it away from himself. And then you notice the same thing with Barisic. It was just this lack of belief, like, that they could actually affect the game. And that's more concerning than the actual quality of his play. I think it's just the fact that he looks like a beaten man, someone that just doesn't think that they can do it. But then the other thing about today is, again, I don't think he likes playing on that pitch. So, perhaps Halliday would have been a better option today, and I think he would have given us a bit more energy, certainly.
Yeah, I agree with you on the confidence thing. He does. He looks, it sometimes looks to me, happens to a lot of players that sign for Rangers, like the jersey's too big for him at times. I wonder if that's the issue. Because as you say, when he first arrived, he looked, I thought we'd signed a proper player, but it's just never really materialised. And I was kind of hopeful, when it became obvious. I thought he'd be away in the summer, but when it became obvious that Gerrard was going to give him another sort of crack of the whip, you're sort of behind the boy, wanting him to do well. But I think if he has any hopes of having a long Rangers career, he really needs to up his performance levels, because I thought he was poor again today. John, obviously got to half time, one each out the second half, and again that feeling of deja vu that we've been here before, especially with Kilmarnock. You just felt that the longer it went, when we never got that second goal, Killie were going to get the equaliser. I'm sure I saw somebody post on Twitter. I think it was actually our own Alistair McKillop posted. It's a certainty that they're going to get the equaliser in the 86th minute. Well, he was 3 minutes out. I think it was 83rd minute they got the equaliser. But I think the frustrating thing is we could all see it coming, and then it happened again.
Yeah, absolutely. What is it they say? Deja vu all over again. You could see it coming, and I think that's the thing that most fans get annoyed about is when you see the same mistakes being made. I think it's unfair to look at that and not look at the response, because clearly the response was different from last season. I think last season there's a chance we'd have lost that game. Certainly would have dropped 2 points, and I think there's a chance that then the momentum would have switched to them, and they'd have going to win it. But absolutely, you could feel it coming. Watching, I mean, I wasn't at the match. I was watching like you. You could feel it coming. You could sense that they were kind of building up to it. They'd had a really good chance not that long before it. Is it Brophy, the guy?
Aye.
Really should have scored. He certainly should have hit the target. But from the cross, he was 5 yards out. It was a poor miss, and that should have been the wake-up call for us. That said, it was a set piece, and Morelos just switched off. The guy O'Donnell had so much time. It was a nice finish, but he'd so much time to stick it away because our centre forward, who was Martin, just completely switched off. So that was annoying. But yeah, you saw it coming. Kilmarnock are that kind of team. We spoke about it a minute ago, Colin. It was the same Kilmarnock team as last season, today playing in the same way as last season. So it should have come as no surprise to our team, majority of whom were there last season, that that's what was coming. And the fact that we didn't stop it, the fact that we weren't capable of changing the tempo. Again, I don't like to criticise Gerrard too much, but you do wonder why he didn't make changes earlier in the second half, because you could see it coming, and clearly something needed to change. We needed to change the tempo. We needed to give them something different to think about. Bring on Defoe and give them something different to think about up front. Try Jones, try a guy who can, if nothing else, he's got a bit of pace about him, because you could see what was coming, and I don't think we're strong enough yet as a unit to go to a place like Rugby Park and hold on to a 1-goal lead. I think we need to win by more than that. We need to be in a bigger lead than that to win a match.
Is that a fair comment, David? Because I'm again looking through the YouTube comments here. There are a couple of comments. One from Stephen Saunders around Steven Gerrard's subs. He's sort of saying, he's saying that they're always like for like. He's not changing a game. And I did feel like, John, that we were late in making changes today. Is that a valid criticism of Gerrard, do you think?
Absolutely. I think, I was saying today at the game, I was really frustrated with the left, as I just mentioned, what's happened down our left-hand side. And, I was saying, like, Gerrard's watching the same game as us, and I'm no football expert, but you're sitting and you can see exactly what's wrong, what we're doing wrong. And he's actually got options in the bench now. It's not the last season where at times you would have, like, maybe there'd all be defensive-minded players. Now we actually have options. Defoe was on the bench. I thought he could maybe have come on. So it was quite clear, by about 60 minutes that Morelos his head was gone. But I think his subs have been poor. I think his subs were poor last season, at the start of the season as well, and then actually get better as the season kind of wore on. So I don't know if he just doesn't know his best team and puts his trust in the players that he picks. And that's why, he's maybe second guessing himself a wee bit with the subs. But I think today, I think he had to change it, and he didn't. And it was okay in the end. We got the win, but yeah, I think it's something that he'll have to look at and how he can affect a game, from the bench.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think you make a good point about, how he sort of grew into the job last year. You got the impression. I certainly think for sort of February, March time onwards last season, towards the end of the season, you kind of got the feeling that Gerrard was influenced games again. He was making decisions that were changing games. But I think today he was slow to change it. But we we got the win, so there's no damage done. But I felt about 10 minutes before Killie got their equaliser, I was questioning then why we hadn't changed it. But it doesn't matter, John, because Aribo was really, really unlucky with an effort that led to the corner for Golson to score. So we thought we'd got the goal then, but then it came. I don't know what the scenes were like in your house, but me and the boy, honest to God, every single one of your neighbours knew Rangers had scored today, by the way, because we took the roof off on that ball out of the net.
yeah, it was an unexpected surprise, wasn't it? No, it was fantastic. It was like you say, it'd been a nice run, and he got the break of the ball. Actually, I mean, he'd kind of lost the ball, and two Killie players kind of passed it back to him. It was a strange one. A lovely shot. It would have been fitting to win any goal. But again, another corner. And Golson made sure it was his. I think I'd mentioned before. I mean, he literally dragged Broadfoot along with him. Broadfoot was literally hanging on to him, and he simply dragged him along with him and buried it. And that's great. Both centre halves contributing to their goals. That says something about the team. It says something about the tactics. Says something about what they've been doing on the training pitch. There's few things in football as good as a 90th minute winner. It's just a great feeling. It doesn't matter who it's against. A 90th minute winner. It's what football's about. I watched some of that. Women's World Cup over the summer, and some of the football that was on over the summer, and I watched that the England, with that tournament England were in, and the way football's going with VAR and all these kind of things, nothing. See if that goal had been chopped off, or you'd had to wait 3 minutes to find out if it was actually going to be given or not. It kills that moment, and I understand. I don't know if we're going to talk about it or not. I understand why those guys were in the park. You do feel a sense of relation. They shouldn't go in the park. I'm not condoning it, but you understand it because there's this outpouring of joy when you score a last-minute winner. I don't care who it's against. It's a fantastic feeling. And I thought it was a decent goal, a good cross, and I thought Golson deserves a lot of credit for getting himself on the end of that and burying it because he was getting fouled the whole way. So, yeah, fantastic. I was delighted. I think I could hear you, actually, from the west of Glasgow, I think it was. I didn't know quite what it was, but no, I think it was you and your boy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, my day, at half-time, it did feel like the footballing gods were against me today because my Sky came back on during half-time, when they were doing the sort of half-time analysis and when the adverts were on, and then just as the game kicked off, it conked out again. And I was just sitting there at one point, like 55 minutes into the game.
I never thought of just paying the bill, though. See when they send you those letters with final demand, you never thought of just paying it?
No, it's nothing to do with that. I pay my bills. You know what I mean? It was to do with the weather. But I genuinely, I was sitting there, I felt like greeting at one stage. I said, I've been looking forward to this all week, and I've hardly seen any of the game. But see when that goal went in the 90th minute, honest to God, it just made everything all right again. Honest to God, the two of us were jumping about that living room like a couple of dafties. And you're right, a last minute, we'll come on to talk about the supporter issue a wee bit later on. But you can understand it because there is, nothing better than a last minute one, especially something like that. With the way Celtic won yesterday, you had Andy Walker crooning, this is another example of what Celtic have over Rangers. They can see games out, they can win games like this, and we're seeing it again that Rangers can't do it. And you're just hearing all that stuff, and then bang, there you go, have that. There's your dinner. Chaos, as I said. The only thing that sort of slightly frustrated me, and we'll talk about later on, is there wasn't more Rangers fans in the ground because it was slightly disappointing that there were so many empty seats in the stand behind the other goal. But overall, that goal made my day today because it had been a pretty rubbish day up until that point because I hadn't seen much of the game. The only goal I had seen was Killie's equaliser, and I just thought, this is just going to be one of the days. So was delighted when that hit the net. David, as we were saying earlier on, it's only the second time since returning to the top flight Rangers have won their opening game. As I said just now, Celtic won fairly convincingly yesterday against St Johnstone. They've sort of, put down a marker straight away saying, they're there to sort of win that title. How important was it to get that win? And maybe even in the manner that we've done it, because Celtic done it so many times last season. They had a last minute win at Kilmarnock last season. They'd done it at Hearts. They got a fairly late winner against ourselves at Celtic Park. These late goals, as Stephen Gerrard said the other day, if the game's finished after 86 minutes, Rangers would have won the title last year. So we've lost points at crucial points towards the end of games, and Celtic have gained a lot of points, towards the end of games. So how important was that win today, just to put out that message that even although we've performed fairly poorly, we've still got the win?
I think psychologically for our players it was a good thing, because it shows that we can score late goals, which is a good habit to get into. But yeah, I mean, I know it's only the first game of the season, but if you're straight away 2 points behind Celtic after one game, I mean, it's not great again psychologically. And yeah, I think to win the game in that manner was probably quite good. And it'd been better than if we'd won 1-0 and laboured to a sort of 1-0 victory. I think it always gives you that buzz and that feel good factor when you manage to get a late goal. And I think it keeps us level with Celtic if we can keep producing victories. I think that's the biggest thing. And it's like, I mean, I'm sure Gerrard tonight would be delighted that his comments, have been proved right. That these moments, from 86 minutes onwards, are so important, because they are, and it's not something that Rangers have been particularly good at over the years. Even when you think back to back in the Walter Smith days, Celtic always seemed to score late goals, whereas we weren't really that well known for it. Scoring the 90th minute winner. I don't think it happened a great deal, whereas they always seem to do it. So that if we can get into that habit, I'm sure it'll be welcome for every fan.
I think you're right. If Rangers had held out 1-0 today, we'd all be sitting here going, "Oh, we've got the win." There wouldn't be that same sense of euphoria. That's what it felt like after that. When the ball went in the net, and then you had a couple of minutes of injury time, and then the final whistle. There was a real sense of achievement and all the rest of it, which I don't think we would have had, as you say, if we'd have just saw the game out 1-0. So I think you're right. I think the manner of it could help the players in terms of realising, if when we're having a bad day at the office, because I've been banging on about that in the pod for a while now. When you're having a bad day at the office, you just need to find a way. You're not going to win every game playing silky football and playing the sort of way that you've planned to play the game. Sometimes you just need to find a way. And I think that's what Rangers done today, and I think that bodes well for the future. John, bringing this the sort of game today to a close, there were a couple of issues today. The first thing was there was images on social media and all the rest of it before the game and sort of 10, 20 minutes after the game had kicked off of supporters struggling to gain entry to Rugby Park, which, it seemed like quite a lot. And there was no sort of talk of, delaying the kick-off or anything like that. And we heard a lot of fans, on social media complain about it, £27 a ticket or something like that, and they're getting in 30 minutes into the game. How disappointing is that?
I think it's been coming. I was at Firhill 2 seasons ago, and a similar thing happened. It was a midweek game, and a similar thing happened. Rangers, they just simply weren't prepared for the amount of support, and you think, well, you should be, because you sold the tickets. So I don't understand what happened today. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. Like you, I've read about it. It's disappointing from a fan's perspective if you've paid all that money and you don't get to see the whole match. It's worrying from a professional standpoint. Kilmarnock should be capable of managing the crowd, managing the access to the stadium. There's absolutely no reason why that shouldn't be happening and happening correctly.
Well, I saw an image today of there was actually turnstiles at that end closed, which made it all the more frustrating.
I've seen that as well, and I don't know if that was something, if they were closed because of, something happens, someone is going to turn up for work. I don't know why they were closed, but clearly something wasn't right. I mean, I think we've sold out 2 ends of that ground most most seasons since we came back up. And I've not heard of this issue before. So clearly something wasn't right today. I don't know if it was negligence. I don't know if it was deliberate. I don't know if it was accidental. I'm afraid I don't know enough about it. But it is worrying. It's not a huge surprise. I do worry that as there's less and less money in Scottish football, clubs and authorities will start to look to save money in different places. You're already seeing it with policing. There's nothing like the same amount of police at games as there certainly was when I was younger. So you're seeing fewer and fewer police, more and more stewards. I think that's why you see things like you saw today with fans going onto the pitch, because I don't think fans have the same concern for getting lifted by a steward that they might have if there's a dozen coppers standing in front of them. And I think maybe you're seeing it with turnstiles not quite working, and maybe that's not working, so we're going to have to close this. And you know what? It's just Rangers supporters. Who cares? I just worry that's creeping back into Scottish football. I'm not trying to be melodramatic, but I've sensed that over the last couple of seasons, that when we maybe are going back the way a little bit in terms of how we treat supporters, and also perhaps after that kind of great period in the 90s where everybody was getting new stadiums and football had changed from the sport that I grew up and the stadiums that I used to go to. And we're a little bit, we get a bit nostalgic for some of these old stadiums, but in actual fact, most of them were utter dumps, and it's much better that they've been replaced. But at the same time, you've got to keep on top of that, and you've got to make sure you are giving a service. And at £27 a ticket, that service should at least mean you get in on time. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
David, there was also, I think Rangers fans had the right to complain about the issues getting into the ground today. If you're paying £27 for a ticket and you're missing half an hour of the game, it's frustrating. But there was issue at the end of the game as well when Goldson got that winner. Some of the fans came on the pitch, which seems to be becoming a wee bit of a trend, especially at last minute winners. But I think the more worrying aspect was the damage done to the disabled section. Now, I don't think it was deliberate, but it was certainly careless by supporters, to climb on that and because it could have seriously hurt somebody underneath. So, I think the Rangers supporters have a right to complain about how some of them never got in, but they also have to take some responsibility for some of the scenes at the end there.
Yeah, I think I'm not a fan of these pitch invasions at all. I just don't get it. I don't get why they are allowed to happen. I don't know why they're. It always seems to be the same. I don't want to target the youngsters in the crowd, but it does always seem to be the same sort of lads that are doing it, which, I know they're happy, but then when you see people running around with their phone in their hand trying to get a picture with the players, you just think...
Trying to get a selfie with Barisic, you know what I mean?
And of all people.
Of all the players.
But no, it's just... I'm not a fan of it. I used to always love how even when Rangers, when we would win the league, you would never see a pitch invasion at Ibrox if we won the league or whatever. But they seem to just be happening all the time now. And then obviously that was just a shocking, just a PR disaster for the club, that the disabled thing, because a lot of the things that happen at games, we just don't do ourselves any favours. And I know there's this feeling that, maybe the coverage that we get isn't great and it's quite negative sometimes, but there are times when we don't really help ourselves with that.
No, I would agree with that. I think we're our own enemy at times, some of the stuff that goes on, and that's an example of it today. Again, I don't think there was any maliciousness in it.
No,
I don't think it was deliberate, but
I don't think so. But the songbook as well, the songbook thing, again, it's just like, it doesn't help us, and it's just becoming an issue in that we're constantly slaughtered for it. So, we should maybe just, how do you stop it? It's really difficult. It is really difficult, and I think the fans are great, and you just have to look at the numbers of travel in and the money. I think something that's often forgotten about supporters is the cash they're spending to follow the club, and it is hundreds and probably thousands of pounds a year going abroad, going here and everywhere in Scotland, and they deserve to go and have a good time. And I don't think anyone would say they don't. It's just there's certain wee bits and bobs that happen at the game. We're not alone. I think our neighbours across the road are just every bit as careless as well.
Well, there was a banner yesterday which wasn't the best, was it?
Exactly, and I think it's like there's a lot of point scoring between the two sometimes, and I think maybe it's just a case of having a look at what we're doing at games and just trying to be a bit more sensible, but it's probably easier said than done.
Just on the point of the roof, Forlan's sister on Gersnet was in the disabled section, and he posted earlier that, in his opinion, the people who jumped on it knew exactly what they were doing and knew exactly who was underneath. And he said it was literally a miracle that no one was seriously injured. Now, like you, I don't imagine the folk jumping on it intended for it to collapse on top of the people down below. But they do need to have a serious look at themselves. If they knew what was there, and then they must have realised, well, there's a fair chance this will come in if I jump about on top of it. And people do need to take personal responsibility. That could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse. Yeah, I would agree with that. Seriously injured, and that's just simply not on. Disabled football supporters have it hard enough. They are. We're talking there about how able-bodied supporters couldn't get into the ground. Disabled supporters have a hard job at football matches. They are an afterthought for a lot of clubs. An inconvenience for some, I'd go as far as to say. So the least they can expect is to be able to watch the match in safety. So yeah, I think we do need, some of us need to have a look at ourselves and things like that. But we'll finish up the Kilmarnock chat on a positive note. We got the 3 points, we got the win, and we've made a bit of a statement. We'll move on. Just a quick sort of review of the progress game. I missed the progress game because I was on holiday last week. I was away down south with the family. Had no access to Premier Sports or anything like that, so I missed it. I wasn't at the Liverpool game, as was suggested by my fellow host Ross last week. I was away on holiday. I never seen the progress game, David. It seems to me it was a fairly routine game, though. I know it was a disappointing result and maybe a slightly disappointing performance, but we're through. Surely that's the main thing. Yeah, I think as long as we just went over there and consolidated what we'd done at Ibrox, I think we were always going to be relatively comfortable. And I think it's going to go up a gear this week. I think when we play Midtjylland, I think that'll be. Because we were quite lucky, I think last season we played Osijek in the second qualifying round, and they were obviously a good side. So going into this Midtjylland game, I don't know a great deal about them, but I would assume being a Scandinavian team, I think they'll have a bit about them. And I'm pretty sure they were in the Champions League a couple of years ago. So this will be similar to the Maribor game, I would have thought. And if we can just move on, and I think it's just going to get harder as the competition moves on. So in terms of progress, it was just a case of getting that done and moving on, I think. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I don't know much about this mob that we're about to face either. I was hoping to do a wee bit of research today, but I ran out of time. So we'll look at them in another pod. Hibs at Ibrox next week, John. They got a 1-0 win yesterday. Beat St Mirren, apparently made heavy weather of it. Set up in a 4-2-3-1 formation. I think they'll tweak that for us next week. I think they'll maybe sit with a couple of more men, slightly deeper. Like Kilmarnock, they were a team we really struggled against last season. I don't think we beat them. I think it was like 4 draws we got against them. So how important is it that we get a result next week? Yeah, it's vital. If we have any pretensions to winning the league, then games against teams like Kilmarnock and Hibs, where we dropped points last season, they have to turn into wins, particularly at home. There is no excuse for not beating Hibs at home. Like you say, I didn't see the game. I just saw the result. St Mirren have had a shocking start to the season. I mean, they've had a really good game. lose a game at East Kilbride. St clearly are not in form, and so for Hibs to beat them only 1-0, and by all accounts, it was it wasn't a wonderful game. Should give us a bit of a lift going into it. They've lost the Australian lad Boyle, who I think is a pretty big player for them. I think he's Australian. I don't know why I think he's Australian, but I think he's Australian. Kind of wage player they've got. I think his name's Boyle. I think they've lost him for most of the season, and I think he's a fairly important player for them. I think they're probably a weaker side than last season. I'd be fairly confident going into that at home. If that's if that's Hibs' current form, I'd be fairly confident with that at home. Like you said, I expect them to sit deep, try and frustrate us, and try and hit us in the break. I think that's what every team will do at Ibrox, and I expect them to do the same. And it's just now up to us to be able to break that down. And this is where we'll see Aribo, we'll see Jones, we'll see Stewart. We'll see Davis. We'll see if these guys are now capable of breaking that down. And at Ibrox, bigger pitch. A thing about Rugby Park today we didn't talk about was the fact they made it smaller. They've brought the pitch in. They've made it a tighter ground. Back at Ibrox, bigger pitch. We've got to beat them. That's simple as that. I think we have to beat them, and that's. If we've any ideas about winning the league, that's what we have to do. Hibs need to be taken care of at Ibrox.
David, our friend and former supporter Scott Allen is in the Hibs side. Obviously got the goal yesterday. 4 wasted years at Celtic. It really frustrates me, the whole situation with Scott Allen. I think if he'd moved to Rangers, it would have benefited his career a lot more. I think it was a tactical signing by Celtic. Is he the one that we need to look out for next Saturday?
He's a nice player. I like him as a player.
He's got a cracking tattoo, apparently.
I think he's a nice player. I think he can cut open a defence. And actually, you said there about him coming. I think if he'd come to Rangers and played under Mark Warburton, he would have been a great part of that team. Because that was kind of what Warburton's sort of team lacked, I think. Just that proper number 10 that could slip in the strikers. But yeah, I mean, he's a good player. And obviously Boy Canberry's good as well. So I think there's no mugs Hibs, and I think it'll be a difficult game for Rangers, no doubt about it.
But you would be hopeful, as John's pointed out, if you've got any ideas of putting in a challenge or even winning the title, these are the sort of games. The games where we struggled last season, these are the sort of games we need to start picking up points in. I
think we pretty much have to just. It sounds ridiculous, but you've got to really be winning. We probably cost ourselves with draws last season, and now we just have to find a way to win. I think today was maybe a good example of that, because we did find that way to win. If we have any ideas about being up there, let's not forget, we only lost the league by 9 points last season, and it could have been less if we hadn't, lost in the last day. I don't think we're a million miles away, but we just need to be have a bit more about us and be what is, as John says, winning these sort of games where you're expected to win. And I think we can't afford to be dropping points at home to Aberdeen and Hibs this season, which we did last season. Realistically, we're going to drop points, and realistically, when we drop points, it could be Easter Road or Pittodrie. But I think when you look at the home games and you look at the Hamiltons away, the Killies away, the St Johnstone away, we need to be turning them in from, tight draws or losses into victories, and then, that's the only way we're going to get anywhere close to winning the league, is if we stop just giving away these stupid points that end up costing us in the end.
Guys, conscious of time now, so just a couple of quick things, stuff that happened through the week. I thought we would cover. John, there was a story linking Alfredo Morelos to a Chinese club for 30 million last week. Gerrard has come out and said that this is a total fabrication, that no one's picked up the phone to Rangers regarding Morelos, and that someone's, as he put it, making a lot of noise about this boy. What do you think's going on here? Do you think this is his agent fabricating this stuff, or?
In a word, yes. That's exactly what's happening. I think, yeah. I mean, we're into the kind of closing days now of the English transfer window, aren't we? So I expect any moves that are happening from down south will happen fairly soon. I'll be honest, I'm amazed that no one from England has taken a chance on him. When you see the money being spent on players down there of fairly ordinary ability, I'm surprised someone hasn't come in and taken a gamble on him, because he, for all his faults, he can play football and he will score goals. So I am surprised. I don't quite know the point of saying, he was offered £10 million a year to go and play in China. I don't really know what that achieved, other than maybe make some clubs think maybe we need to offer him more money. I'd be amazed if there's not conversations going on behind the scenes. I'd be very surprised if clubs haven't made contact with his agent. But ultimately, I think this was a lot of nonsense. I think this was just his agent, I don't know, giving somebody a story to run. It didn't make a lot of sense. It seemed a strange one. I understand the Chinese window was kind of closing that day or something, so maybe they felt, well, we'll put this out there, and that might kind of make somebody somewhere.
Make something happen, yeah.
I don't know. It's all you can think of, because I think most of us perhaps thought he was going to be away by this time. I think a lot.
I thought he'd be away
in the summer. Surprised he's still with us. I think we're weak up front. I know we've not talked about it in this pod. In terms of the squad, I think we're weak up front. We've lost Lafferty, albeit he didn't do a great deal for us. At least he was another option, a different type of player. We've not replaced him. If and when Morelos goes, we will need to sign at least two strikers, I think, because there's not anything obvious. You couldn't rely on Defoe all season. That wouldn't be fair. So yeah, I thought it was a lot of nonsense. There you go. There's a long way of saying yes. A lot of nonsense.
Another thing I saw in the sort of papers this week, David, Glenn Middleton's been sort of touted for a move to either Holland and NEC Breda or Hibs. Now I sort of raised my eyebrow to the Hibs thing, considering the aforementioned Mr. Allen, Scott Allen, the whole thing that happened with him. I would be surprised if Rangers would be wanting to do any dealings with Hibs.
I don't know what would be best for his development. I thought he was okay last season, but I think he sort of got found out. Reminded me of Greg Wild, actually.
I see where you're going there.
Just to sort of kick it and run and try and get it in the box. He needs to add a wee bit more to his game, I think. So, I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't overly concern me if he went to Hibs, like in terms of that sort of thing, because I just think if it's going to be good for his development, I'd like to think we're the sort of club that would say, let's not get torn up about stuff that's
too churlish.
I think we've got to be, big boys about it and say if it's going to be the best for him and the best thing. And realistically, if he was playing for a sort of top 4, top 5 club in the league where we are playing, would probably be better for him than going to Holland, sort of into the unknown a wee bit. So yeah, I personally would have no concerns about him going to Hibs, but I think he definitely needs that first team experience just to develop his game, because at the moment he's a kind of one-trick pony.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think when he came in, he looked an exciting player, but again, I just wonder if the expectation started to get to him a wee bit. That what's required to play for Rangers, and as you say, became a wee bit one-dimensional. I think a move away would suit him and would probably benefit him, but I'm not keen on Hibs, I must admit. But there we go. But anyway, guys, conscious of time now. That's us just over the hour. So that's it. That's us for this week's episode of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast made by fans for fans. A big thanks to John and to David on his debut for their contributions tonight. Excellent stuff. We've got the game next week at Ibrox Park. We'll have a show out for that. We might have something live from Ibrox on the day. We're trying to get all that up and running at the moment, so we'll see how that works out. So we might do a wee quick pod from Ibrox before the game on Saturday. In the meantime, get yourself onto Gersnet and the forums at www.gersnet.co.uk. And until the next time, bye for now.